Hello, welcome to my second tutorial on a software engineering course. In our previous lesson, we ended at the software engineering process. In this lesson, we will be looking at the software specification and requirements. As part of this course, we will be looking at what is software requirements, the various types of software requirements, what a user requirement is, what a system requirement is. We also look at the functional and non-functional requirement, then we look at the requirement engineering process. So let's begin. What is software requirements? Software requirements are description of features and functionalities of a target system. Requirements convey the expectations of users from the software product. So when a client comes to you and then tells you, hey Sam, please I need a software. The first question you're going to ask is, what are you using the software for? Those becomes the various requirements. Looking out for the purpose or the reason why we are building a particular software, the process involved or the act organizing these descriptions is what we term as software requirements. So it basically looks at organizing how a system should actually work or the actual program a system is to solve when developed. The process used in gathering software requirements is termed as the requirement engineering process. So in gathering software or in gathering a software requirement, there are various steps or there are various processes we go through before we gather a particular software requirement or a particular software description. And then this process is what we term as the requirement engineering process. If you do not understand this term well, just have patience and follow along as we move on. We will deliberate much on it. Now let's look at the various types of requirements. Basically, there are two types of requirements, and then these are the user requirement and then a system requirement. So now let's move on to look at what a user requirement is. So what is a user requirement? So user requirements are basically natural languages that explains what a customer wants. It specifies what the user expects the software to be able to do. So you come to me, hey Sam, please, I want a software. Then I ask you, what are you using the software for? So what that you tell me is, I need a software that will manage my shop for me. I need a software that will track my daily sales. I need a software that can keep track of customer receipts and many more. So these are natural languages, and then these languages do not contain any technical jargons and can be easily understood by everyone, including non-programmers. So it is in plain natural languages that is easily understood by everyone. So these kind of requirements are mostly produced by the client. So it is the client that is going to tell the developer what he actually wants. So that is basically the user requirements. Then we move on to look at the system requirements. So what is a system requirement? The system requirement is a set of documentation that describes the feature and functions of a software applications. So over here, this focuses on the vital functionalities that the system needs to perform. And then as we say, it serves as the basis for designing the system. So with the system requirement, it looks at the actual functionalities that the system needs to perform. So over here, the system requirement focus on converting the user requirements, that is the natural language, into a technical language that can be easily understood by programmers and then software engineers. So it contains various technical diagrams such as the use case, activity diagram, database schemas, and many more. So the system requirements actually focus on converting the raw natural language the user gives to the programmer into a technical diagram that can be understood by other software engineers and then programmers. With system requirements, it is only understood by developers, software developers or software engineers. So now, to better understand user requirements and then system requirement, let's look at this example. Assuming you are a building contractor and a client comes to you and then say, hey bro, I need a three-bedroom apartment. The statement he made is the user requirement. So I need a three-bedroom apartment. So it is up to you as the contractor to convert what the user has just said into a technical format that can really produce the actual thing the client is looking out for. So as a contractor, after the client has said he is looking for a three-bedroom apartment, it is up to you to put what the user has said into a technical format that can actually be developed into the real world objects. Now, with system requirement, there are two types of system requirements, and they are the functional system requirements and the non-functional requirements. Let's move on to look at what functional requirement is. So when we talk of functional requirements, a functional requirement defines a system and its components. It is centered on the main reasons why the system is being built. When a client comes to you and then tells you, hey Samuel, please, I need a software to manage my shop. You're going to ask him, what at all do you need? He will tell you, I need a software that will help track my sales, that will issue receipts to clients, that will check my stuff. These are the functional requirements. These are the main reasons why the client is paying you to develop the software for. So tracking of sales, keeping of inventory, issuing of receipts. Those becomes the main function of the system you are actually developing. So as it says it describes the functions of a software, or it describes the function a software must perform. So a function is nothing but inputs, behavior, and outputs. So a functions actually focuses on what the user should feed the system with, how the system should respond to it, and then the output or the feedback the system should give back to the user. So they focuses on the main functionality of the software. Now let's look at the non-functional requirement. Non-functional requirement defines the quality attributes of a software system. So basically, non-functional requirements are all attributes that make a system much more efficient and attractive for use. They are not related to functional aspect of the system, but as they are added to the system, it makes the system more attractive and makes the user very happy when using the system. So example includes the design and color. The design and color is not actually part of the functions of the system, but once the design and then the color of the software is very attractive, user always feel happy when using the system. Performance. When system performs very faster, it makes user very happy when using the system, although it's not actually part of the main functions the system is to perform. We can talk of accessibility, that is ease of access, and then security. If the system is highly secured, customers are very comfortable and confident when using your system. So to clearly understand functional and non-functional requirements, let's look at this scenario. From the example in the previous ones, as I said, the client comes to you and tells you, hey, contractor, I need a three-bedroom apartment. So this one becomes the structure the contractor built. Over here, the structure is complete and then the user can start using the structure. So over here, the main aim or the main thing the user was looking out for is a three-bedroom apartment, and then the three-bedroom apartment is ready. So this becomes the functional requirement because that is the main thing the user tasked the contractor to build for. But after everything, if the contractor adds internal and external decorations, although the internal and external decorations are not actually part of the building, but once it is applied to the building, it makes the building look much more attractive, and then user feels very comfortable and happy when using the building. Now let's move on to look at the requirements engineering process. As I first said at the beginning, requirement engineering is the process of defining, documenting, and maintaining software requirements. So in simple term or in simple put, it can be termed as the process of gathering a software requirement. So the various steps include one, requirement elicitation and analysis. So with the requirement elicitation and analysis, it looks at gaining much knowledge about the project domain. So if a bank comes to you and then tells you, hey Sam, please, I need a software to run my bank, the requirement elicitation and analysis focus on you understanding how the bank processes actually works. So with the requirement elicitation and analysis, it focuses on gaining much knowledge. And then this knowledge can be obtained from sources such as the customers, the business manual, existing softwares, and other stakeholders. It is actually about you broadening your knowledge about the problem domain. And then the second one is the software specification. With the requirement specification, over here, a formal software model is produced or a formal software documentation is produced. So after understanding the problem domain, you sit down to put down or you sit down to formally produce a document about the problem domain or about the requirement the user looks out for. Then we move on to verification and validation. So this is where you look into the report or the document that you've generated to see if it catches or it captures all requirements as stated by the user. And then with the validation, that is where the user validates or the user accepts or approves that these are the various requirements I am looking out for. And then finally, requirements management. This is where you arrange with the client as to which functionality is to be produced first after the other. So it outlines the order with which each functionality will be produced. We will end here. In our next lesson, we will be looking at software design and implementation. If you find this content useful, kindly hit on the subscribe button and share. Thank you for joining this session. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.